Hello, friends! Today we'll look at which European leagues most often record a goalless second half. You'll also get to know the 5 clubs from each league that have the highest percentage of such matches. Let's get started. All statistics are based on data from the last 20 match days of each championship. If you remember the review on the draw market, I was genuinely surprised to see the English Premier League in the top 10. But everything falls into place when I see this championship again in today's ranking. In my opinion, the second half under 0.5 market is very close to the draw market. Not only in terms of bookmaker odds, I'd say if a league appears in today's top, then it's very likely, even without knowing the lineup of the draw top, that it's probably there as well. And we will likely meet again the familiar faces from previous low-scoring first-half reviews. Look, in the top 5 clubs with the most scoreless second halves, we even have Manchester City. And what about Arsenal, who, in the final stretch, more often decided their victory already in the first half, and in the second half simply maintained their advantage? The presence of the Spanish Segunda here, on the other hand, doesn't surprise me at all. It's all, shall we say, traditional. The only thing worth noting is that the percentage of scoreless second halves in this league has decreased significantly compared to previous seasons. Even in the first 20 rounds of this season, it was higher, but it gradually declined. And in rounds 20 and 36, there were no such matches at all. So here I have to state that the trend towards higher scoring in the Spanish second division is being maintained. And as this season has shown, it's a long-term one. As a rule, every league has 1 or 2 teams with a significant number of goalless second halves. This is due to many factors that influence such results for these teams. But the frequency of these results is sometimes striking. Look at Eibar's away record. 5 consecutive matches with a scoreless second half. Also, let's note Burgos. They maintain their style both at home and away. In our reviews, especially on low-scoring markets, this isn't the first time we've come across the Bulgarian First Division, and it is a permanent fixture in this ranking as well. However, the number of matches with goalless second halves has been distributed unevenly across the season. I counted 4 rounds with no such matches at all, and 7 rounds where half of all matches on a match day featured a second half without goals. Towards the end of the championship, scoring increased and the percentage of such matches dropped. That said, in the final stretch of the season, an increase in second half scoring is observed in almost all leagues in this top 10. A few years ago, the Belgian Jupiler Pro League was practically competing in scoring with the Dutch Eredivisie. The league always had a high percentage of matches where players scored more than 1 goal in the first and second halves, as well as a high number of over 2.5 matches overall. But in recent seasons, a clear overall trend of declining scoring has been observed, and the place of this league in today's top 10 confirms that tendency. Although in the top 5 clubs we don't see anything outstanding. There are no teams with an exceptionally high percentage of goalless second halves, but most likely, the league has many teams with an above-average percentage. The Polish Ekstraklasa was also mentioned earlier in the review on the draw market. Tight, often goalless second halves frequently lead to a draw by the end of the match. We can now see this for ourselves by comparing our research on the draw market and the second half under 0.5 market. And continuing on the theme of similarities between markets, let's look at the top 5 clubs by this metric. Legia and Motor, who lead the top 5, have the second and third highest number of draws in the championship. 13 each. These facts are interesting and useful to know, and I think it's important to be able to read statistics for successful football prediction. In the top 5, I always pay attention to teams with 50% or more of such matches. If other additional factors align, I might choose a match involving such a team for my prediction. It's not necessary to strictly follow under 0.5. Perhaps under 1.0 would be safer and psychologically more comfortable. The second top-tier European league in our review is the French Ligue 1. There is no clear tendency here, neither towards lower nor higher scoring. Matches with no goals in the second half are distributed very erratically across the rounds. There are match days where such matches didn't occur at all, and roughly the same number of match days where their share exceeded 40%. Towards the end of the championship, right in the middle of decisive matches, scoring increased, and the conclusion here suggests itself. The end of the season is not the best time for predicting the second half under .5 market, and this statement applies not only to this championship. The Russian Premier League hasn't been mentioned in our previous reviews, and indeed, recently this championship hasn't particularly stood out in any way. Over the course of the whole season, a gradual decline in second-half scoring can be observed. The average number of goalless second halves per match day has increased from 1 to 2 since the start of the championship. And in the second half of the season, every round except 4 recorded 2 or more such results. Among the top 5 clubs, Rubens stand out as a typical solid mid-table side in this league. Third place in the ranking goes to the Belarusian First Division. We got a little acquainted with it in the review on the first half under .5 market. And if we assume that ahead of us is a review of the under 2.5 market, we will undoubtedly encounter this league there as well. So for fans of low-scoring markets, I'd like to suggest getting to know this league more closely. As for second half under 0.5, a decrease in the number of such matches is already visible. The tournament has passed the early stages, and overall scoring is gradually increasing. And it seems to me that this will continue further. Over the last 6 rounds, the percentage of goalless second halves has dropped by more than 4 percentage points. The French Second Division was also a participant in the low-scoring first half market. And we also remember that in the draw review in mid-May, it even took first place. This league has consistently, over recent years, been among the European leagues where most matches produce low-scoring results. And I personally use League 2 matches for my predictions quite often. From the start of the season, the number of goalless second halves gradually increased, with an average of 2 such matches per round. In the middle of the season, the number of scoreless second halves in the league rose significantly, allowing the average to reach the mark of 3 matches. However, in recent rounds, a regression has been observed, a drop of 9 percentage points, which is the second biggest regression among the leagues in this top 10 for this market. And first place is unexpectedly taken by the Croatian First Division. It must be said that small leagues like this one, where a match day consists of only 5 matches, can sometimes very quickly shift their trends, whether towards higher or lower scoring. And a similar situation happened here over the course of the season. Up to round 20, half of the match days ended with no goalless second halves at all. After that, the situation changed dramatically, and in half of the remaining match days of the season, at least 2 such results were recorded. Sometimes, as in round 20, the number reached 4 matches. At this stage, the Croatian league is the only one among the entire top 10 that shows a positive trend in the number of such matches over the last 6 rounds. If we look at the top 5 clubs by this metric, we cannot help but notice Istra's remarkable run of 5 consecutive scoreless second halves away from home. So, we have continued to get acquainted with leagues whose matches can and should be used for your predictions on low-scoring outcomes in a specific phase of the game. Today, we covered the topic of goalless second halves. And in the next review, to fully clarify the picture on low-scoring markets, we will tackle the subject of a low full match total, under 2.5. See you next time!